Humans have always wanted to measure time. Early people looked at the sun and moon. They watched the seasons change. This helped them understand rhythms. They needed to know when to plant crops and hunt. Knowing time helped societies organize. Ancient Egyptians were clever inventors of time. They built tall stone pillars called obelisks. These acted like giant sundials. The shadow cast by the obelisk moved, showing the time of day. Sundials were simple and effective in sunny lands like Egypt. However, sundials had a big problem. They did not work at night or on cloudy days, so ingenious minds created water clocks, also called clepsydras. The Egyptians and Greeks both used them. A water clock worked by letting water drip at a steady rate from one container to another. Markings inside the container showed the passing hours. Water clocks could work day or night, indoors or outdoors. This was a big improvement over sundials. Other ancient methods also existed. People used marked candles that burned at a known rate. Some used hourglasses with flowing sand. These early tools were not perfectly accurate, but they were very important. They laid the foundation for all future timekeeping. They showed a growing desire to master time. This desire would drive innovation for centuries. The first whispers of time were becoming clearer. Each invention was a step forward. Timekeeping began to change in medieval Europe. It moved from personal devices to public displays. Monasteries were among the first to need precise time for their strict schedules of prayer. Soon, growing towns and cities also wanted public clocks. These clocks would help regulate daily life for everyone. They became symbols of order and community. The first large mechanical clocks appeared. They were huge and driven by heavy weights. These weights would slowly fall, powering the clock. They used a mechanism called the verge escapement to control the release of energy. Early tower clocks often did not have faces or hands. Instead, they struck bells to announce the hour. People listened for the bells. These tower clocks had a big social impact. They helped to organize the day. Work hours became more standardized. Markets opened and closed by the clock. Church services were announced. Life became more structured. The clock tower was often the center of the town. It was a source of civic pride. People relied on its chimes. It created a shared sense of time for the community. The idea of tower clocks spread quickly across Europe. Clockmakers improved their designs over time. The giants of the town square were just the beginning. Their rhythmic ticking echoed a changing world. The desire for time grew more personal. Large tower clocks served the public well, but wealthy individuals wanted their own timekeepers. They wanted something they could carry with them. The existing technology was too big. Miniaturization was the next big challenge. A German locksmith named Peter Henlein found an answer. He lived in the city of Nuremberg. Around the year 1505, he created something new. He made small, portable timepieces. These were some of the very first watches. Henlein's key innovation was using a mainspring. A mainspring is a coiled piece of metal that stores energy and releases it slowly. This replaced the heavy weights of tower clocks. It allowed for much smaller designs. His creations were sometimes called Nuremberg eggs because of their shape. These early portable watches were marvels of their time. They were often drum-shaped or spherical. They were not worn on the wrist yet. People wore them as pendants around their necks or attached them to their clothing. These first watches were luxury items. Only the rich and powerful could afford them. They were status symbols. Peter Henlein's work was incredibly important. He showed that clocks could be small and personal. It was the dawn of the personal timekeeping device. The 17th and 18th centuries saw pocket watches blossom. They became much more than just timekeepers. They evolved into exquisite fashion statements. For gentlemen of means, a pocket watch was essential. It was a symbol of status, taste, and sophistication. The design of the watch became as important as its function. Watchmakers became artists. They poured immense skill into each piece. Pocket watches from this era were incredibly ornate. Craftsmen used precious metals like gold and silver. They adorned the cases with intricate engravings. Beautiful enamel paintings were common. Some watches were set with gemstones. The level of detail was astonishing. Each watch was a unique work of art. They reflected the artistic styles of the time. From Baroque to Rococo, owning such a watch was a display of wealth and refinement. Technical advancements also continued during this period. The invention of the balance spring was a major step. Scientists like Christian Huygens and Robert Hooke contributed to this. The balance spring made watches much more accurate. Renowned watchmakers emerged. The pocket watch became an indispensable accessory. From pocket to wrist, the Great War's timepiece revolution. For a long time, wristwatches were not common for men. They were seen mostly as jewelry for women. Some early versions existed, but they were rare. Men preferred the sturdy, traditional pocket watch. A few pioneering individuals, like aviators, saw the benefit of a watch on the wrist. Alberto Santos Dumont, the famous pilot, asked his friend Louis Cartier for one. This was an early sign of change, but it took a major global event to transform perceptions. That event was World War I. The nature of warfare changed dramatically. Soldiers in the trenches faced new challenges. Coordinating attacks required precise timing. Fumbling for a pocket watch under fire was impractical. Soldiers needed a way to check the time quickly and easily. The pocket watch was not suited for this new kind of combat. This need led to the rise of the trench watch. These were essentially small pocket watches adapted with lugs to attach a strap. Soldiers started wearing them on their wrists. Officers especially found them vital for synchronizing movements. The wristwatch proved its worth in the harsh conditions of war. After the war, soldiers returned home wearing their wristwatches. This had a profound impact on public opinion. The wristwatch was no longer seen as feminine. It was now associated with bravery and masculinity. A new era of timekeeping had dawned, born from necessity. The quartz shockwave Seiko and the new era of accuracy. By the mid-20th century, mechanical watches were king. Swiss watchmakers were masters of their craft. They produced beautiful and intricate timepieces. These watches were symbols of precision and luxury. However, the quest for even greater accuracy never stopped. The answer came from an unlikely source, a quartz crystal. On Christmas Day in 1969, Seiko unveiled the Astron 35 SQ. It was the world's first commercial quartz wristwatch. The arrival of the Seiko Astron sent shockwaves through the industry. Quartz watches became cheaper to produce. A new era of affordable, super-accurate timekeeping had begun. The enduring allure, modern mechanical masterpieces. The quartz revolution was a severe blow to Swiss watchmaking. Many thought mechanical watches would disappear, but the Swiss industry proved resilient. It adapted. Instead of trying to compete with quartz on price and accuracy for the mass market, they shifted focus. They repositioned mechanical watches as luxury items. They emphasized the aspects that quartz could not replicate. This was a clever and successful strategy. Swiss brands began to highlight their heritage. They focused on craftsmanship and artistry. They celebrated the complexity of mechanical movements. Brands like Rolex, Omega, Patek Philippe, and Vacheron Constantin became icons of this revival. They created watches that were not just timekeepers. They were statements of personal style and achievement. They were investments in tradition and engineering excellence. The human touch became a key selling point. These were objects of desire. These modern mechanical watches often feature incredible complications. Tourbillons are mechanisms that counteract gravity's effect on accuracy. Perpetual calendars show the correct date for decades, even accounting for leap years. Minute repeaters chime the time on demand. These complications showcase the pinnacle of horological art. They require immense skill to design and assemble. Today, mechanical watches hold a special allure. They represent a connection to history and tradition. The enduring appeal of these masterpieces continues to grow. India's horological heartbeat, HMT, Janata and Titan. India's journey into watchmaking is a fascinating story. After gaining independence, the nation focused on building its industries. Self-reliance was a key goal. Watchmaking was seen as part of this modernizing drive. The government wanted to provide affordable and reliable watches for its citizens. This led to the establishment of a domestic watch industry. Hindustan Machine Tools, or HMT, played a pivotal role. It was a state-owned company. In 1961, HMT set up its first watch factory in Bangalore. This was done in collaboration with Citizen Watch Company of Japan. HMT aimed to produce watches that were robust and accessible. For decades, HMT was the timekeeper of India. Its watches were a symbol of Indian manufacturing prowess. Millions of Indians owned an HMT watch. Among HMT's most beloved models was the Janata. The name means the people's watch. It was simple, elegant, and incredibly durable. The Janata was a mechanical, hand-wound watch. It became an icon. In the 1980s, the Indian watch market saw a new major player. Titan Company Limited was formed in 1984. Titan quickly grew to become India's largest watch brand. The future on your wrist, smartwatches and timeless tradition. The digital age has brought another revolution to our wrists. Early attempts at smartwatches appeared in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. These devices offered more than just time. They had calculators, data storage, or basic messaging. The true smartwatch era began more recently. The launch of the Apple Watch in 2015 was a turning point. Other tech giants like Samsung and Google also developed advanced smartwatches. These devices can track your health. They can deliver notifications. Yet even in this age of high-tech smartwatches, traditional watches endure. Many people appreciate both. The story of the watch continues to unfold. Like, share and subscribe to Knowledge Odyssey for more fascinating journeys through time.